The path you take is yours alone, and it will demand everything you have to give. Chosen woman. A chosen woman is not merely a title, but a symbol of awakening, of a soul that hears a call far beyond the familiar limits imposed by society. She feels deep within her heart an irresistible pull, urging her to leave the safety of her comfort zone, to let go of who she once was, and to step into the uncertainty of a transformative journey. A journey she often must walk alone. It is not a path paved with flowers, but one where she confronts her fears, overcomes her doubts, and uncovers the hidden strength within herself. Every step she takes is a testament to her courage. Every moment of solitude becomes an opportunity to redefine who she is. That is where she finds herself. Do you dare to heed that call and begin your own journey? 1. Why she walks alone. The cost of rising above. Society has long forged individuals to fit in, pressing them into rigid molds, compelling them to chase external approval, and confining them within the narrow boundaries of what's deemed normal. Yet, a chosen woman cannot be imprisoned by such stifling limits. She wasn't born to trudge behind the crowd. She's here to blaze a trail, to chart a course others haven't dared to imagine. She doesn't settle for a life of quiet mediocrity. She yearns to rise, to expand her vision, and to touch new horizons beyond the reach of the ordinary. The moment she boldly shatters that outdated mold, the familiar world she once knew turns alien. It no longer fits the woman she's becoming. Those who once vibed with her may now step back, their gazes clouded with confusion at a transformation they can't comprehend. Conversations that once set her soul alight now echo as hollow, lifeless noise. The places that once offered solace grow stifling, like cramped cages too small to hold her expanding spirit. This journey isn't just change, it's an inner revolution, one that exacts a steep toll. Solitude, fractured connections, and empty spaces only she can truly grasp the worth of. Yet, within that costly price lies the brilliance of her ascent, the fire of a soul that refuses to bow, a radiant testament to her unyielding greatness. 2. Breaking free from societal expectations. When a woman begins to awaken and reach for her higher self, she enters a space where clinging to the outdated version of herself becomes impossible, like an old, tight garment no longer fitting the blossoming soul within her. The familiar thoughts that once shaped her, the endless cycles of routine from days long past, and the relationships rooted in the person she used to be, start to crack and fade away like wisps of smoke before a gust of wind. At first, this disintegration can throw her off balance. It's like a chilling breeze sweeping through her mind, carrying a profound sense of loss, a suffocating isolation, as if she's been abandoned in an undefined void, stripped of every pillar that once steadied her life. But the truth isn't about loss. It's about liberation, a meaningful shedding of skin. She's peeling away the oppressive layers of societal expectations, the invisible pressures forcing her to live against her true essence, and the barriers that once stifled the grand dreams simmering in her chest. Walking this path alone doesn't mean she's enveloped by loneliness. It's evidence she's forging ahead, leading the way into a level of consciousness that few dare to face or are prepared to step into. The deeper she journeys, the fewer companions she finds around her. But this doesn't daunt her. It's a flame affirming she's on the right course, reaching toward a broader horizon. Kindred spirits, those who resonate with her heart's frequency, who share her fierce thirst for transformation, and who comprehend the profound depth of her challenging journey, will appear in their own time, like twinkling stars gathering in the vast night sky, offering warm light amid the expansive darkness. Yet she doesn't pause to await their company, nor does she slow her stride to comfort those hesitating behind. With a gaze as steadfast as a lighthouse piercing through the stormy sea and a heart ablaze with an unquenchable passion, she presses forward, each step a powerful declaration of her freedom, her inner strength, and her relentless desire to live fully as herself. 3. The spiritual strength of a chosen woman. While the masses huddle within the comforting embrace of the familiar, trembling at the thought that change might shatter the delicate veil of stability, a chosen woman discovers her radiance amid the shadows of the unknown. To most, change sweeps through like a chilling wind, compelling them to cling to a worn-out life where every moment is predictable, rather than brave the wild, uncharted terrain of risk and unfathomable mystery. But she stands apart. She knows that within that ambiguity lies a universe of possibilities waiting to unfold, and it is there that her inner flame blazes most fiercely, illuminating a path few dare to tread. She seeks no ironclad promises, no chorus of approval, no permission to take her next step. Her strength is rooted solely in trust, an unshakable faith in herself, in the natural rhythm of her journey, and in the silent, infinite wisdom guiding her through every twist and turn, like a lighthouse piercing the fog of a boundless sea. There are moments when solitude weighs upon her like an invisible stone, fleeting instances when she wonders if she's misstepped, if the tranquil days of old might be worth reclaiming, or if silencing that deep inner call might bring a simpler peace. Yet, at her core, she knows there's no turning back. Once her eyes have opened to a horizon stretching far beyond the narrow confines of her past, she cannot shut them to the dazzling light of truth. Every step she takes, no matter how unsteady, pulses with purpose, drawing her closer to the life she was destined to forge. A life not merely of existence, but of vibrant, undeniable aliveness, where she emerges as the fullest expression of herself, unshaken by any storm. 4. Embracing solitude, a gift, not a curse. This path is not for the faint-hearted. It demands the courage to face the deepest shadows within the soul, the surrender to embrace inevitable changes, and an iron will to release what no longer serves, even when it feels like severing ties with the entire world she once knew, the world she once leaned on to define herself. Yet, the chosen woman does not tremble before these harsh trials. Instead, she meets them with an open heart, an unyielding spirit, and a fierce belief that every hardship is a gateway to true freedom. To her, solitude is not a cold void or a lingering sadness, but a sacred space, a realm where she can immerse herself in stillness to grow, to transform, and to unearth the truest version of herself, shedding the false layers the world once forced upon her. While much of the world is swept up in a whirlwind of recognition, chasing shallow praise or conforming to external standards, she charts a different course, the path of truth, a journey few dare to undertake, and even fewer grasp the profound value of. She does not wait for permission from anyone to begin her growth, to heal the hidden wounds within her heart, or to evolve beyond the outdated limits that once confined her, for she grasps a simple yet profound truth. If she allows herself to depend on the approval of others, she unwittingly hands over the reins of her precious journey to them, and that would mean losing herself entirely. Solitude, then, becomes her silent companion, a forging flame that tempers her through the darkest days, enabling her to stand firm amidst the storms of the world, to shine from the strength within, and to affirm that she does not merely exist. She lives, truly lives, with all the passion and purpose that define her being. 5. The inner power she holds. Not everyone notices the silent wind stirring the soul, but a chosen woman feels it keenly. The power buried deep within her, a flame that needs no breeze to blaze, glowing fiercely in every hidden corner of her consciousness, far beyond the judgments or expectations the world tries to impose. Most people live their lives like mirrors, reflecting the gaze of others, craving approval for each choice, seeking comfort to keep moving, and longing for a whisper to confirm their path is true. Yet she, with eyes alight, sees through the honeyed trap of external validation. She knows that to let the world paint her portrait is to lock herself in an invisible cage, relinquishing the freedom to shape her own essence. No, she doesn't bow to those voices, the doubts, the fears, the worn-out molds others carry, for they aren't hers. They don't touch the wild, unbound spirit she harbors. Her healing is a sacred song, resonating in stillness, needing no audience or stage lights to prove its worth. She doesn't wait for someone to step forward and crown her worthy, strong, or whole. Those truths pulse through her every heartbeat, an indelible lifeblood. The quiet triumphs, the storms she weathers in the dark, call for no flowers or fanfare. She doesn't walk to be admired, but to rise into the highest version of herself. To become what? A woman unshackled by the boundaries others draw, a free wind sweeping past every barrier. That power isn't about bending the world to her will, but about mastering her inner realm. A wordless yet ferocious revolution, ignited from her depths, where she is the light guiding her own way, needing no one else to hold the torch for her. 6. Turning pain into purpose. Her journey of transformation is a sacred mystery, so profound that no external gaze can comprehend or define it. It's like a solitary mountain only she dares to climb, where every step etches a mark of resilience. When she chooses to release her reliance on the nodding approval of others, she unlocks an invincible power, a fortress impervious to the cold winds of judgment. Criticism, once capable of halting her in her tracks, now fades into meaningless echoes, dissolving before the blazing fire of her confidence, for she knows it does not measure her worth. She no longer kneels for validation from unfamiliar faces, nor twists herself to fit into the narrow boxes others design. Because she understands her self-respect needs no one's permission. She walks without explanation, without justification, and refuses to shrink to blend into spaces never meant for her radiance. Instead of chasing agreement or understanding from the chaotic world outside, she chooses to embrace herself, like a warrior raising the sword of her pride. There was a time when the shadow of doubt engulfed her, days when the scrutinizing eyes of others shook her belief, when sharp words pierced her heart. But she has risen above, like a fierce wind sweeping away dark clouds, leaving behind a clear sky of freedom. She realizes that the opinions of others are mere grains of sand slipping through her fingers, their approval fragile threads easily broken, and if she lets them steer her, she'll remain trapped within her own soul. From the shards of past pain, she has built a castle of meaning, turning tears into fuel for a fire of passion. And now, she doesn't just exist. She lives to inspire, to prove that every wound can become a pair of wings. 7. Becoming the woman you were destined to be. Not everyone dares to rise and claim their destined path, but she did. A choice that didn't just shift her direction, but sculpted the very essence of who she is meant to become. She decided to cast aside her reliance on the fleeting praise of others, anchoring her faith in herself even when no one stood behind her, and walking steadfastly in the light of her own truth, undeterred by whispers of doubt or the probing stares around her. This journey isn't a shaded, welcoming road that everyone longs to tread. Most are accustomed to seeking approval from others, following the crowd for a sense of security, and only daring to move forward when someone nods in agreement. But she is a radiant exception. She doesn't wait for signals or permission from anyone. She advances, carrying a natural strength too profound for words to capture. Tuning into the pulse of her deep intuition, a lighthouse guiding her through the fog of uncertainty, she lets it steer her course, heedless of voices claiming she's swimming against the tide. Each time she chooses to trust herself, she feels a surge of new energy awakening, like a river shattering its dam, sweeping away barriers to reveal a power that has long slumbered within her. She doesn't break rules for attention. She simply unshackles herself from the invisible cages of conformity, the burdens of societal expectations, and the delusion that her worth hinges on the validation of others' gazes. To her, passing opinions are mere wisps of smoke dissolving in the wind, external approval, a flickering lamp that pales beside the steady flame blazing in her soul. At a certain moment, she realizes that being understood by others no longer matters. The only thing that holds weight is living authentically, unmasked and uncompromising. And in that absolute freedom, she uncovers a profound truth. Everything she ever sought, peace, strength, purpose, has always resided within her, waiting to be ignited and shine as her destiny intended. In a world that often demands conformity, she chose a different fate, one carved by her own hands. She decided to shed the exhausting need for others' approval, to anchor her faith in herself even when the world turned its back, and to live boldly in her truth, no matter how others misread her. This path isn't crowded or welcoming. It's solitary because society rarely teaches people to trust their inner compass. Most are trained to chase external answers, to blend into the herd, to hesitate until someone else nods in agreement. Yet, she defies that mold. She doesn't pause for permission or linger in doubt. She strides forward with purpose. Guided by an unshakable inner voice, she follows its whispers through a landscape others can't comprehend. Each choice she makes strengthens her resolve, proving that self-belief is the root of her power. She's not here to rebel for the sake of defiance. She's here to claim her freedom. Freedom from the chains of conformity, from the suffocating weight of others' expectations, from the lie that her value depends on outside praise. She's learned that opinions flicker and fade, that validation from others is a fragile crutch, and that her own acceptance is the only foundation worth building on. Now, she exists in a space beyond the need for approval, rooted in her authenticity, where every breath affirms her purpose. And in that sacred truth, she uncovers the boundless strength she was always meant to wield. Imagine a chosen woman standing at the edge of her known world, gazing into the vastness of what could be. Her journey toward transformation hinges on one profound truth. Letting go is the key that unlocks her potential. It's a daunting prospect, steeped in unease, shadowed by uncertainty, and sometimes pierced with quiet pain, because it demands that she loosen her grip on the past. She understands that clinging to yesterday's echoes prevents her from stepping into the boundless destiny she's meant to claim. To embody the woman she's becoming, she must release the ties to relationships that no longer hum with her spirit, cast off beliefs that have grown brittle with time, and step away from environments that dim the frequency of her growth. This isn't a tale of loss. It's a deliberate act of carving out space, a fertile emptiness where new vitality, untried paths, and possibilities aligned with her evolving self can bloom. Transformation thrives on change, and change insists on the courage to let go. Most recoil from this call, their hearts tethered to the predictable. They dread the stillness that letting go unveils, the solitude, the uncharted void, choosing instead to cradle familiar routines, even when those patterns sap their energy. They linger in soul-draining places, surrounded by voices that no longer stir them, clutching identities long past their expiration, out of fear that release might leave them adrift. But a chosen woman perceives a deeper wisdom. Holding on to what's misaligned exacts a heavier toll than venturing into the unknown. She doesn't expect every companion to follow her into this new chapter. Some bonds she knows were woven for a fleeting season, anchored to a self she's outgrown. Far from harboring resentment, she cherishes the wisdom they imparted, bows to their place in her unfolding story, and sets them free with grace. She doesn't plead for their understanding or chase after closure. She trusts the rhythm of her path and presses onward. Letting go stretches beyond the realm of people. It's a shedding of inner chains. She peels away the limiting convictions once etched into her being, recognizing that truth she once held sacred may no longer mirror the woman she is today. She discards the illusion that her past self must define her forever, releasing old fears, whispers of self-doubt, and the hunger for others' approval. To weave a new existence, she rewrites her inner narrative, shifts the currents of her emotions, and lifts her energy to a higher plane. She refuses to anchor herself to outdated thoughts just because they feel like home. Instead, she leans into the mystery ahead, certain that expansion lies beyond release. When once treasured spaces, like rooms that held her laughter or dialogues that sparked her mind, begin to feel like cages, she doesn't turn away from the signs. Her soul, ever her guide, nudges her toward a grander horizon. She doesn't bend to fit where she no longer belongs or fight the pull of something more. She rises above, trusting that what's truly hers will arrive when the moment is ripe. This journey can cloak her in solitude, a companion she's come to know well. There are nights when the space she's hollowed out feels too vast, when questions swirl. Did she choose rightly? Should she have stayed where it was safe? And the silence presses close. Yet she holds fast to its necessity. In this tender quiet, she gathers the fragments of herself, piecing together a version that radiates her highest truth. She learns to dance with the discomfort, to see it as fertile ground for her rebirth. Letting go, she discovers, isn't about relinquishing. It's about birthing anew. By shedding the worn and weary, she invites the vibrant and untested, stepping boldly into the woman she was destined to become. Mastery isn't a gift bestowed upon her. It's a flame kindled in stillness, tempered by solitude, and sharpened through relentless inner work. The chosen woman knows that true self-mastery isn't found in the crowd's applause or the world's nod. It's claimed by standing apart, tuning out the clamor, and heeding the whisper within. Isolation becomes her sanctuary, not her burden, a sacred space where transformation deepens. The world buzzes with noise, opinions, expectations, fears flung from others, distractions tugging at the soul. Most bend to this chaos, letting it sculpt their choices, beliefs, and sense of self, absorbing energies that clash with their essence. They're caught in loops of comparison and validation, believing their worth hangs on others' gaze. But she sees through this mirage. To know herself, to master herself, she steps away from the din and turns inward. In this stillness, she meets herself unfiltered, free from others' expectations, unshaped by past conditioning, undistracted by fleeting noise. She faces her fears, doubts, and insecurities, not to crumble beneath them, but to unravel their roots, command them, and rise stronger. Mastery has no shortcuts. It demands discipline, patience, and an unwavering vow to the journey. It's not perfection she seeks, but awareness of her thoughts, her emotions, her energy. She trains her mind to choose rather than react, crafting an inner peace unshaken by the outside world. Opinions no longer steer her. Permission isn't her prerequisite. Validation isn't her compass. She moves with a quiet certainty, a confidence born from within. Solitude may weigh on her at times, tempting her back to the familiar, but she stands firm. This aloneness is her forge, refining her strength, her clarity. She embraces the silence, for it's here she hears her soul's voice, clear, steady, powerful. She needs no one's understanding or acceptance. She doesn't justify herself to those blind to her vision. She walks forward, knowing mastery is a rare path, one few dare to tread. Yet she chooses it, because this is where transformation takes root, In the space where she stands alone, listens deeply, and claims herself again and again. She was never meant to follow or shrink to fit. From the moment she chose herself, she entered a reality unbound by validation or conformity, where she molds her own depth. The chosen woman doesn't chase belonging. She becomes a force, a presence, radiating a frequency that draws what matches her growth. Within every chosen woman lies a quiet revolution, a force that doesn't clamor for attention, but commands it through sheer presence. She doesn't chase fleeting desires. She draws them near with effortless grace, doesn't impose her will but lets life unfold in its own rhythm, and strides forward with such unshakable conviction that doors swing wide without her ever needing to knock. Her energy is her power, an essence so singular it eludes imitation, resists replication, and refuses to be boxed in by the ordinary. This radiant strength is forged in the crucible of her inner journey, through countless solitary hours where she wrestles with shadows, refines her spirit, and commits wholly to rising as the truest, most elevated version of herself. It's a transformation that reshapes not just her being, but the world she touches, as every step she takes sends ripples outward, aligning her reality with her vision. And as she climbs higher, all that clashes with her newfound frequency, old doubts, misaligned ties, stale patterns, dissolves like mist in the morning sun, making way for possibilities that mirror the boundless potential she now embodies. For the chosen woman, the journey begins not with fanfare, but with a subtle shedding, an unburdening that might first masquerade as emptiness. Connections that once anchored her drift into silence, exchanges that lit her spirit now ring hollow, and the places that cradled her growth start to pinch like ill-fitting armor. She stands solitary, not because she's been left behind, but because she's surged beyond the confines of what used to be. She doesn't fight this unraveling. She leans into it, understanding that transformation demands she release brittle frameworks, tired thoughts, and the chains of fear, doubt, or smallness. In letting them slip away, she opens a vast expanse for something bolder to take root. And then, the tide turns. The solitude she once shrank from becomes her forge, tempering her into something unbreakable. The isolation that gnawed at her transforms into a wellspring of calm. She no longer aches to belong, for she knows her place isn't among the crowd. It's at the forefront, illuminating what can be. Her power a steady flame of self-assurance. She won't soften her glow for those who squint at its brilliance, nor tether herself to ease the unease of those who linger in the familiar. She ascends, fearless, her essence a signal to those destined to walk beside her, drawn by the resonance she casts. Her every move now hums with purpose. Her voice rings true, her steps are deliberate, and her faith in herself is a quiet roar. She doesn't wonder if she's enough. She's long known she is. The answers she once sought outside now unfurl from within, blossoming as she claims her power fully. Effortlessly, she summons souls and moments that reflect her truest self, her energy a living proof of her becoming. She sidesteps fads, shrugs off demands, and needs no nod of approval. She simply stands as she is, a presence too potent to overlook. Through her, the world tilts, not because she chases its rhythm, but because she dares others to climb toward their own heights. Thank you for joining the journey of the chosen woman, a journey that's not just her story, but a reminder of the power dormant within us all. May you discover your own flame to pierce through the shadows of doubt. Transform solitude into a sacred space for growth, and embrace the transformation life has set before you. Transformation isn't a destination, but the path you choose to become your truest self. A beacon of power, shining bright amidst old limitations. Are you ready to rise, let go, and lead your own way?